Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and everyone out there on the radio, on the podcast, on the video, hey, welcome into the Computer America Show. We have a great show planned for you today where we have none other than FamClub. If you haven't heard of them, you definitely need to. And today is going to be the perfect show for you because we're going to be talking with the CEO of the company all about what they do, how they do it. It's going to be a very informative segment. And hey, for everyone out there with kids, I'm sure that balancing technology and, integrating technology in a healthy way into kids' lives is a very difficult and challenging thing to do because really, if you think about it, this generation kind of, raising kids and maybe the generation before are really the first time that we've had to, that we've had this kind of technology available to us. So what's the right way? What's the best way? Hey, this is going to be a very interesting segment, like I said. But before we get started, first things first, computeramerica.com. That will have everything, including a link to our guest website, a link to the app. It will have anything that we mention here, any videos, any articles, anything that we mention during the computer and technology news segment in the second part of the show. Everything at computeramerica.com. All right, then. And of course, lots of articles and reviews and things like that. Check that out. But hey, why don't we go ahead and get started with today's guest? And joining us today is, as I mentioned before, Jay Bailey. He is the CEO of FamClub, and I'm really happy that he could join us. So let me just switch one thing here just real quick, and there we go. And Jay, welcome on to the Computer America Show. How you doing?
Hey, Ben, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, those mute switches, they're fun. So, but yeah, I'm really happy that you could join us. And like I said, this is a part of the technology world that we're coming. It's coming into more and more focus, and we've seen some of the dangers of tech, but at the same time, we all know it's not going anywhere. And I think you've created a system that kind of sets up how to promote productivity, but it's not all about staring at a computer screen. It's about getting up and actually doing chores and things like that. So, but before we get into the app and how it works and that kind of thing, give us some of your background. When was FamClub started, and has your background always been in technology? Where do you come from?
Well, I'm a radio guy actually since just out of high school. I started as a producer of a morning show and just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and then eventually hosted the morning show with a buddy of mine, and so I've been in radio pretty much my whole life.
Very cool, very, very cool.
And so I actually still work with another radio company, but FamClub has been my pet project for, well, we've been building this now for about a year and a half. We just went live with it about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. And we're softly rolling it out to the country and kind of watching how people use it. It's really our first time releasing an app to such a diverse audience, right? Because we've got parents, and then we've got teenagers, and we've got kids on an iPad that may be 6 years old. So we really had to build this app to work for everybody. So it's been an interesting process watching people use it and how they use it, how they don't use it, and then working with our programmers here in South Florida, to change how we do things and make sure that the flow is right. So it's been an exciting time. So Retro Ventures, which is the parent company of FamClub, we build software and apps. But FamClub is our first big baby, and we're super proud of it.
Very, very cool. And yeah, and I don't know if you know this, but Computer America, kind of got our start on WJNO down in West Palm. So
very cool.
Yeah, our home base is South Florida, so happy to see more great things come out from there. But again, let's focus in on FamClub, and obviously everyone out there, if you'd like to check it out, myfamclub.com. Go ahead and check it out, and of course available through the app stores. But give us a bit of the background that you kind of went into this project with. Was this about something that that you saw a need in the marketplace, or did you see that you were using some other things and they just weren't doing what you wanted to? Assume that you have kids yourself. I mean, what headspace were you in when you decided to start developing FamClub?
Yeah, well, really, it came from two things. I mean, number one, I'm a dad of two teenagers, so I've lived in the world of my kids having their heads buried in their iPhones and barely being able to see them, right? And trying to figure out how you communicate with them and speak on their level. And secondly, there were other apps available, and there's another story today about Walmart partnering and doing a box subscription service for kids. And there's a lot of that, but there was nothing that really brought the whole family together. So, we were looking at the box subscription model, and I belong to several of them, some fashion and a cologne one. We have a pet one at home as well. And I just try to figure out what was missing. So it really started off as a box subscription where I said, all right, we're going to create this box that once a month families will get, and the box will have something for the kids, and it will have something for mom and dad. And then more importantly, it will have something that the family gets to do together. So it may be a board game or, movie tickets or something for, a game outdoors. And so we sort of came up with this concept for the box. And then we thought, maybe we're looking at this all wrong. Let's figure out how we bring families together, make them work together to get this box. And so that's where we tied in the app and the goals and things. So basically what you do is you download the FamClub app. It's on Android and iOS, or you can go to our website, myfamclub.com, and you set up your family. And we can get into that in a second, but basically you create goals for your kids. And so it may be as simple as, make your bed once a day, or do your homework every night, or, sweep the garage, things like that. And what we found, though, is kids don't really have a say in the household chores, right? We just tell them to do, and they start to resent mom and dad for that. So FamClub is built so that the kids get to ask mom and dad something. So my kids can ask dad to help with their homework once a week, or my son can say, I want you to, help me with he produces music. He's a little teenager. I want you to sit with me and work with me on my music, or go for a bike ride with me. And then the last thing is that the whole family has to set something together. So it may be take a family bike ride, or, go for a family walk, or just play outside, or watch a movie together, or play a board game. And so as each person completes their goals throughout the month, FamClub tracks them individually, but then it also tallies your score up as a family. And when you get to that 100% every month, that's when we trigger that box for the family to get. So a big rewards box if you're signed up for the premium subscription.
Right. Now, and of course, there's a lot to break down there, but the first thing that comes to mind is, of course, this box that would be triggered every month. And how's the best way to put this? Like, are there like rollover boxes? So like if you don't earn it 1 month, you get 2 the next month. Can you trigger more than 1 every month? Like, because obviously if you're paying a subscription model, you know, you would still like to get your box even if you aren't 100%. And obviously the percentages give you more information as to, hey, I could be playing with my kids more because turns out I really don't do that often, or I could be, you know, or this kid is doing a lot more chores than that kid. The percentages show good data, but at the same time, the reward is still something that you, I guess, kind of pay for. How do you balance the, you know, people kind of either not logging their activities or, you know, versus not sending out the subscription?
Well, so, you know, this is going to be for, this is the inside information that just the moms and dads and you and I, Ben, can talk about here.
Okay.
If you sign up for the subscription box, you really can get that box every month, right? It's a service that you paid for. Mm-hmm. We give the parents the option to sort of hold those things. Because, you know, what's worse than your kids didn't do anything all month and all of a sudden they get home and there's still a box of goodies waiting for them. Mm-hmm. So this way the parents sort of override it and say, all right, we didn't complete our goals, but send me the box. So they can be on the lookout for it, or they can say, hold it. And, you know, maybe we'll send it next month. Gotcha. And then we just keep crediting the account, you know, so that you continue to have that year subscription or a monthly subscription, what have you. No. There's also a free version of FamClub, because all this is about is just trying to figure out how we get families to start working together and get family time back on the calendar. So you don't even need to sign up for the box subscription. You can use the app totally for free, or there's a version of it where you can help track allowance. So maybe you don't want the box, but you want to make sure that you're paying your kids' allowance every week, and you still want to create that family togetherness. So there's a version of the app for 99 cents that you can go and unlock that and shut off all the ads that, you know, Apple or Google put on the app. So there's a few versions of the app, but again, they're all centered around everybody's got to contribute to the household goals every month.
Right. And I may just be so plagued with startups that, you know, come on the show, and there are themes that kind of run throughout the different startups, especially over the past couple of years. And I was waiting for you to say, yeah, we created our own cryptocurrency and the kids are paid in cryptocurrency, which they can then exchange for, you know, Bitcoin. But no, so no, there's goals and credits and allowances. That's all perfect, because, you know, when I was growing up, we had like a checklist on the fridge, and, you know, we'd have to like check off every time we did this chore. And whenever you reached a certain threshold, very similar to this, it's just you're putting it in the device that I guess a lot of kids already have in their hands. Right. How have you found, I guess, kind of engagement? Because obviously, you know, the chores need to get done, but it's about having them go in. Are you finding kids and parents enjoy the fact that they get to see the percentage go up? They get to see progress towards a box or some kind of goal. How is it just having it in your hand and having something that you can look at and track? Does that increase engagement?
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, so look, early on, it's hard, right, to get new behaviors especially in a child. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we call it the Nito Completo meter. It's kind of silly. You know, on the web version of the show that you're playing, you're able to see that if you go to the myfamclub.com website, you can see. So this meter constantly, you know, goes all month for the kids and even for mom and dad, and then for the family. And so being able to see that, you can see that there's an end in sight, right? And that's why we did it. It's one thing to tell your kid, you know, make your bed every day. Well, to them, every day is an eternity, you know, let alone every month. And so here, every time they do something good, every time they check off a goal, that meter moves, and they're just, you know, a little bit closer to the end. And so that we're finding that the more people use it, the more kids get into it, you know, that they are, you know, completing more things because they're sort of watching this progress and they're motivated to do it. A couple other things. One interesting point, the way we've set the app up, and I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here today, but, you know, mom or dad will go in and set the family up, and then they can invite the kids. So you can all use one device. You can use the computer in the house, or if you have an iPad, everybody can share the device, or each kid can have it on their own phone. And so the parents invite the child. The child signs up, they get their own login, they feel like it's their own. And then when they do something in the app, including when they set a goal for mom or dad, Then mom and dad are notified. And so the family starts communicating through this app. You mentioned the refrigerator notes, by the way. I had the same thing growing up.
Yeah.
There's actually a little refrigerator that we built. I wanted to bring that back. It reminded me of my childhood. So we have the FamClub fridge where you can leave a sticky note on the fridge for somebody in the family. And it will alert you wherever you are that day. You'll go to the fridge and you can see that, mom said good luck at the game, or dad said, don't forget to, rake the backyard when you get home from school. So, we brought that back as well.
Very cool. And of course, really the penultimate, or I should say the ultimate, I guess, kind of form of that would be if you came out with a Samsung Smart Fridge app for FamClub. So,
Yeah, well, don't get ahead of us now. We're working on it.
There you go. So, but no, obviously, you have put a lot of effort into this. And for anyone out there watching the video portion, we're kind of scrolling through the website, great visuals and things like that. Very well made website, by the way. And I do want to say that, one other system that we had growing up, we had a chore jar where, we got kind of resentful, because we were angsty teenagers and, young preteens. And, sometimes I didn't like to wash the patio, and other times I didn't want to do the dishes or take out the trash. So we had the chore jar where it was kind of this, there was an element of mystery. You pick something out and you didn't know what you were getting, and then you just go do it. But I'm wondering if there's something similar where there's like a reservoir, if you will, of chores where you can take out the trash or do the dishes or walk the dog. And, let's say you have two kids, one kid would pick a chore and they get the credit towards it. And you know what I mean? Like some kind of you get to choose the chores you would like to do.
It's not something that's in the app. I mean, there are a whole reservoir of chores that parents can pick from. What we've found, though, is, I don't want this to sound just like it's an app to track chores for your kids,
of course.
which it is. But what we've found is when the kids have the ability to ask mom and dad for something, and remember, it can be one thing, it can be 10 things. It's really up to the family to decide. But if they're asking mom and dad, hey, please do this for me, play ball with me, or, dad, I want you to lose that beer belly. I think you should go for, I want you to get exercise, whatever the kids want to do, they feel that, now all of a sudden they're asking of the family and that they should give back to the family as well by completing theirs. So, it's really an interesting dynamic. There's nothing like it on the market. There's been nothing like it that I've seen for, even outside of apps or websites. It's nothing that we ever did as a kid. My mom always just told me what to do. And here, and I resented it, right? And now I get to ask something of mom, right? Or dad. And so it really creates a very different dynamic. It's not just chores anymore. It's the whole family kind of working together on these screens now that have become our life, working together to complete things together. And so that's been more, that's contributed to more success,
right?
Because, there's more of a give and take as opposed to just a take.
Right. And of course, kids will intuitively, and this is something that I've picked up, that kids intuitively know how to use apps and use smart devices and things like that. So it's not even really, I'm guessing that the learning curve for the parents and the kids in starting to use the app really isn't that steep, because a lot of this seems like it'd be, pretty obvious to even young kids, using the service, right?
Yeah, well, I mentioned that earlier. One of the interesting things was we've got, kids that are 5, 6, 7 years old that, mom and dad may have bought them an iPad so that they can play, some games or some learning games. And then you've got, 20, 30, 40 something year old parents and teenagers. We've got a bunch of families that have, 12, 13, 15-year-old kids. So we had to make an app that everybody could really pick up on easy. We didn't want to make it too cartoony and silly, right? So that it felt like a baby app, right? We wanted to make sure that the parents felt good about it. I think our team has done a really good job designing something that is kind of fresh and interesting. It's easy to use for everybody. You can upload pictures of your families just like you would on any social media, or you can pick just an avatar, if you want to just kind of keep it fun and light. So, and the chores, you'll see we've got a lot of pre-filled chores, but you can customize chores because everybody has different stuff at their house. Mm-hmm. So sure, we have, the custom, the standard walk a dog or, brush the dog or feed the cat, things like that. But Who knows? You may have a pet snake, and so you can customize those things, and you can add graphics to those, and you can really make it about your own. One of the favorite things about the app, for me at least, is, you know, we also allow nicknames. So it's not mom and dad and, you know, daughter and son. I happen to call my daughter Noodle,
right?
Like, you know, like a pasta noodle. And so I can set her nickname. So when she goes in and reads a note for me, it says, "Hey, Noodle, you know, I hope you have a good day. Love, Dad." So, you know, we've really made this thing so that you can customize it for any age group. And I think just visually, I'd like to believe, of course, you know, this is my app, so I think we did a good job, but I really think we did a very good job customizing the visuals so that it really kind of talks to everybody.
Yeah, it certainly does look like a well-made app. There's no doubt about it. And I have to, or I would like to ask something about the fact that we live in the day and age of the non-traditional family. 2 moms, 2 dads, you know, maybe if you're Mormon, 14, 15 kids. How many members can be on one FamClub, I guess, kind of family or account? How many users to a single, I guess, account?
Well, so you can put as many users as you want. If you do the premium box service, so at the end of the month, you get a box. That's for a family of 4. It doesn't matter how you slice it or dice it. So it's 2 kids and 2 parents. We actually have an aunt. One of our families is an aunt. She has no children herself, but she has a niece and a nephew that come over often. She babysits them. And so she became a FamClub member so that when they come over, they can kind of do things together as a group. Could also be for grandparents when the grandkids come over. But you'll actually notice and you know, we're very sensitive to that. As a matter of fact, I am a household that I'm 2 dads. So there's myself and my husband and my 2 kids. So we're very sensitive to that. You know, families look very different today than they did 20 years ago, and FamClub is completely customizable for all of that. So if you're a grandma or a grandpa or a dad, 2 dads, 2 moms, or 1 dad or 1 mom, you know, the entire platform becomes built around your family.
I'm glad that you took that into account for sure. So I guess the big question we have now, the box, obviously, as you said, available for premium members. And, you know, I was checking out on your website, you mentioned here that the FamClub box is, or at least here in the FAQ, what's in the box. It's completely customized every month. There's no set of rewards within it, but maybe give us some highlights about what were in previous boxes that you really
every month is a different
Sure.
Yep. Sorry. Every month is a different theme, which is kind of fun. So we had an outdoor theme. So it was more like games, things you could do outside. The next box, I believe it's next month's box, which is kind of a culinary box. So it'll encourage the family to kind of cook and hang out in the kitchen together. So there'll be some things for the kids that will be interesting to them. Trust me, we're not going to be giving the kids a spatula, you know, but we're going to give some fun things that they can use in the kitchen. Give mom and or dad something that they can use in the kitchen, and then create, you know, I think one of the things in the next box is kind of a thing that you can put up in the kitchen that you can sort of set your menus and, you know, write all over. That's from FamClub. So I know one of the other things we're doing is kind of a nature outdoor, you know, almost like working in the garden. So there'll be some things what the kids can do, and there'll be some things for mom and dad to do, and then a plant that the family can plant together and kind of watch grow. Again, every box always has something for the family to do. There'll be the eventual model will be, as we, you know, continue to roll FamClub out, we'll work with retailers so that they can sponsor the box, the things in there. You know, I'll use an example. It could be Disney, right, where things are sort of customized Disney products, and then maybe there's a free Disney movie rental and things like that. So, you know, that's the long-term plan for the box itself.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen that where you know, these boxes, they're very interesting. They save you money in the long run, but at the same time, just kind of the mystery of it all. It's fun. It's like getting a present every month, and you know, kind of rolling it in with this whole idea of, togetherness and getting, and just getting things done, I guess, is a huge part of it. I would like to pick your brain because you mentioned that you have 2 kids yourself and you're raising kids in the technology age. It's, as I said, way at the beginning of the show, you're probably one of the first. You are the guinea pig of how do you raise kids in a day and age that you're hyper connected. How do you feel about, I guess, kind of the rate at which kids are, either glued to their phones or to their tablets or things like that? Obviously, FamClub, you have added a lot of things that get you away from the screen. I'm not seeing a lot of chores that say, sit in front of your computer and watch YouTube for 4 hours. It's about getting stuff done. How do you feel that technology is, kind of playing a role in, kind of raising kids?
Well, look, it's been something that I fought for a long time. My kids are teenagers now, so, I've watched them sort of go through the introduction of the iPhone and an iPod, and now, they are just absolutely glued to their devices. If they're not on their phone, then they're on their computers. And I fought it for a long time. I think like every parent, put your phone down and you're on your phone too much. And I fought it and fight it, and I still do. But that's why we built FamClub. I said, listen, if you can't beat them, join them, but try to make it so that it's still kind of a cool thing to do on this cool device, but in a backhanded way, kind of make them work together with the family. So,
right.
They're now sort of playing along on their device, but what they don't understand is they've actually brought the family closer together by working together. So I think that, listen, technology, I'm old fashioned, right? I'm a, kid of the late 70s and early 80s. So we didn't have any of that. I had an old tire and a stick. That was what I got to play with. I had to spend time outside. My mother would send us out at 8 o'clock in the morning and say, don't come in until dinner time, go play with your friends. So it's been hard being a parent in these days. There are certainly a lot of things I'm very scared about, like every other parent, the technology and what's available to kids and the fact that they don't understand what's available to them and what can be done. But, in the case of FamClub, I think it's an interesting way to sort of use that technology for at least one thing. And as you said, it's not screen time. It's go out and do something, go for a bike ride, let's go for a family walk, or, go outside and mow the lawn, and just whatever we can do to kind of get them away from that screen as much as we can.
Right. If you have any reactions immediately, from users or other people that have, kind of mentioned using it, do they find themselves, kind of realizing just how much more they could be doing or things like what are the initial reactions of launching FamClub? I know it's only been out for about a month and a half now, but any kind of initial reactions?
Yeah, so far, you look, the reactions, the reactions are mixed. I think a lot of positive, which is really good. And
right.
Especially because we put so much time into this. So it has been good to see so many people using it. As far as the actual interactivity, I think it's like anything else, right? It's building a new behavior. So we get families that, jump right in and they set their whole family up and they set some goals. But then it's just reminding them every couple of weeks, hey, don't forget the month is coming up. And little Billy, hasn't completed his goals yet. Or, hey, mom, you haven't completed your goal yet.
Right.
So we do send little notifications. But all in all, everybody that we talk to, and, I'm not saying this because I run the company, but when I came up with this idea, I just got goosebumps because it really is the first thing that uses technology that kind of centers around everything that's going on in the world today, with box subscriptions and all this stuff, but really makes family time important again. And so every time we talk about it, especially when we talk about the kids being able to ask mom and dad for something, we talk about how hard it is to raise a kid with technology.
Yeah.
What about how hard it is for the kid to be raised by parents or a mom or dad that are always out, always working, always doing things? We become so focused on our careers and our money and our bigger houses that we neglect, the very basics of parenthood. And so the fact that a kid can ask mom or dad, hey, would you play ball with me once a week? Or, would you sit down to dinner with me? that when I talk about that to families, and when they see that they can do that now in this app, it melts everybody's heart. I mean, I get goosebumps just saying it, that we forget that our kids want those things, and we've become so lost as a society with those things in a lot of cases, not everybody,
Right.
but here it really gives them, an easy way to ask for it and an easy way for mom and dad, to say, wow, I didn't realize that I was, I was kind of letting that stuff slip. So it's not always the kid's fault, right? It's not always the technology's fault.
Yeah, it's something that we've definitely become acutely aware of here, that you get a lot of endorphins watching YouTube, learning senseless facts, and, talking with your friends online, that, hey, some of your more traditional, like you said, stick and tire, go play ball, go for a walk, those things, they don't seem as attractive at first, but they're very important, and I'm glad that, hey, you're actively promoting that with FamClub. I will let you, Jay, have the last word. If people want to find out more, where can they go? Where's the best place to go for information, and where can they download it?
Well, so myfamclub.com if you're on a computer. The easier way, though, if you have a phone, no matter what it is, Android or an Apple iPhone, you can go to the Google's Play Store. You can go to the iTunes Store and just search FamClub. That's the easiest way. It's like family, so FAMCLUB, FamClub. You can also type in chores or allowance, and we'll pop up in the list.
So
the app
Jay,
is totally free. So here,
sorry, Jay,
download the app, give it a whirl, and play around with it for free. Or you can subscribe for the box service, which comes down to as little as like $25 a month for a family of 4. And again, it's something for the kids. It's something for mom and dad. So every month, mom and dad, you're going to get something too in that box. And then importantly, it's something for the whole family to enjoy.
Perfect. So music could be playing in the background. And I have to say, Jay, that, like I said, this was going to be very interesting. And hey, I was right. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Looking forward to see where you take the app, because obviously you have set yourself up with an entire platform, and you will be working on this for years and years to come. So I'm looking forward to see where this goes. And Jay, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on Computer America.
Thanks, Ben. I really appreciate it.
All right. And have a great day. And looking forward to talking with you. And yeah, best of luck.
You got it. Thanks.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, and everyone, there he goes. So obviously, if you'd like to check out more, you can go to Computer America. We'll have links to everything. And in the meantime, everyone, we'll be right back. More computer and technology news right after this. Everyone, hey, stay tuned.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here, and everyone, thank you for continuing on with us. If you missed our first segment of the show, we of course mentioned FamClub. We talked with them, talked with the CEO, and of course that was a lot of fun to of course talk with Jay Bailey. He is the CEO of the company and a great app for productivity, for getting chores, for togetherness, connectedness, and yeah, overall I think it's a great idea. Looking forward to seeing where they take that. And if you want more information on that, check out the show notes after the show. They'll be up, and of course we will have a link to it. But and if you missed any part of today's show, please feel free to check out the podcast wherever podcasts are heard. Simply type in Computer America. We should pop right up, and you can find today's show as well as all of our other shows, and you can hear the entirety of our interview. Now, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and go on to computer and technology news. This is a segment where we try to keep you up to date on all the things, well, computer and technology related. And the problem is that that's really hard, but we try our best. Everyone, here we go. Computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. Now, our first story, this one seems to be getting a lot of traction today, and hey, it's always a good reminder to be wary of Facebook. So that's where we're going to start off. Mark Zuckerberg leveraged Facebook user data to fight rivals and help friends, leaked documents show. This is the problem. When you give someone power and authority, well, why would they not wield it in whichever way they saw fit? So let's check this out. Facebook's leaders seriously discussed selling access to user data, and privacy was an afterthought. This is coming to us from NBC News, and very interesting stuff. Olivia Solon and Cyrus Farivar saying that Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg oversaw plans to consolidate the social network's power and control competitors by treating its users' data as a bargaining chip, while publicly proclaiming to be protecting the data. But to be protecting the data, according to about 4,000 pages of leaked company documents, largely spanning 2011 to 2015. So Facebook was started somewhere in like the 070 or 05, 06, something like that. So this is well into the into the inception, and of course adoption was heavy around the 08, 09 era. Obviously Facebook was the front runner, in this time period. So it's not even like this is how we, get a leg up in the competition. No, they were the competition. Again, 2011 to 2015. The documents, which include emails, web chats, presentations, spreadsheets, and meeting summaries, show how Zuckerberg, along with his board and management team, found ways to tap Facebook's trove of user data, including information about friends, relationships, and photos, as leverage over companies it partnered with. That's right. Again, including information about friends, relationships, and photos as leverage over companies it partnered with. I guess the big thing there is that if, let's say Facebook had a partnership with, let's say Nike, and Nike CEO was a user of Facebook, they could then troll through all of the information that the CEO of Facebook the CEO of Nike was using on the platform, such as, hey, we have a big deal coming up, we're not so sure, any doubts or insecurities or any confidential plans. Of course, you wouldn't want, or now we know, you would not want to discuss that on a social media platform. But at the time, it was less so much known. But hey, looks like Facebook was more than willing to go through that data for their own gain. In some cases, Facebook would reward favored companies by giving them access to the data of its users. In other cases, it would deny user data access to rival companies or apps, which is something that actually happens in advertising quite a bit. There's something called exclusivity, where if you are, let's say Computer America, we're sponsored by, Godiva Chocolate. I like them. Let's say Computer America is sponsored by Godiva Chocolate. They could pay Computer America, and by the way, this is industry standard. This is not something that's only Computer America does. It's called exclusivity. where Computer America will make no mention of the merits or the great qualities of other chocolates, let's say Nestle. No, exclusivity means that Computer America will not take other advertising deals with other competitors in the same field. Happens all the time, and I am not surprised that maybe Facebook would have... actually, they have a good example here in the article itself. For example, Facebook gave Amazon extended access to user data because it was spending money on Facebook advertising and partnering with the social network on the launch of its Fire smartphone. In another case, Facebook discussed cutting off access to user data for a messaging app that had grown too popular and was viewed as a competitor. Obviously, when you create something as large as Facebook, this is one of the first times that a private company has been this large. There's no doubt about it. Facebook is massive. Well, when you become a platform onto yourself, the legalities of what you would like to do and what would be in the best interest of yourself become kind of gray, because at the same time you have to think about monopolistic tendencies. So I think that's the territory we're getting into. All the while, Facebook was formulating a strategy to publicly frame these moves as a way of protecting user privacy. Private communications between users is, quote, increasingly important, end quote, Zuckerberg said in a 2014 interview. Quote, anything we can do that makes people feel more comfortable is really good, end quote. And you can see that smack dab in the middle of this, treating user data as a bargaining chip and giving access to some companies, revoking it for other companies. No, it's an asset. It was a very powerful asset, continues to be a very powerful asset, and it was a matter of how do we use this to our advantage. Now, but the documents show that behind the scenes, in contrast with Facebook's public statement, the company came up with several ways to require third-party applications to compensate Facebook for access to users' data, including direct payment, advertising spending, and data sharing arrangements. Yeah. Again, user data is so very valuable that I have no doubt Facebook was looking for ways to cash in on this, because they had something no one else had, and that was the data points of 1 billion users. Or probably at that time, hundreds of millions of users, which was more than anyone else. Now, Facebook denied that it gave preferential treatment to developers or partners because of their ad spending or relationship with executives. The company has not been accused of breaking the law. No, this is not illegal. This is something that they are fully within their right to do. It's just, it's not very... it's not in good faith. You know, it's not bargaining or treating the competition in good faith. Now, the documents stem from a California court case between the social media network and the little-known startup 643, which sued Facebook in 2015 after the company announced plans to cut off access to some user data. 643's app, which is called Pekingese, which soft launched in 2013, relied on that data to allow users to easily find photos of their friends. Well, yeah, friends in bathing suits. It's weird. It's super weird. Pekingese, you have a weird app. Let's just say that. But Facebook has acknowledged that it considered charging for access to user data, but Facebook has challenged the significance of those discussions, telling that the Wall Street Journal last year and NBC News this month that the company was merely mulling various business models. Yeah, they were. So to skip through this article a bit more, and obviously it's a well-made article. We're not going to be able to get through it completely. If you'd like to find it at Computer America, we'll put a link to it. But let's go ahead and wrap it up with this last paragraph here, saying that well, actually, wow, this thing keeps going and going. Okay, let's just go ahead and wrap it up here, saying that man, here it is. Meanwhile, Facebook Facebook appears to be preparing for the inevitable, with Zuckerberg writing his own op-ed in the Washington Post in March calling for regulation in areas including harmful content and election integrity, but not antitrust. Facebook watchers saw the show of willingness as an attempt by Zuckerberg to curry favor with policymakers at a time when many are baying for the company's blood. I think that's it. Obviously Zuckerberg testified in front of Congress saying that, hey, we need regulations. We need clear and understandable rules to play by. And Facebook was the first one to say that, hey, we don't mind rules. They help us do our job in a meaningful way. But at the same time, he knows perfectly well that whatever limitations are going to be attempted to be put on Facebook, Facebook can fight that in their own manner. And that includes lobbying efforts, that includes, going through their own data. I mean, right now, Facebook holds all the cards, and the legislation to kind of back up what they're doing is very, 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 very far down the pipeline. So there you go. Again, huge article, very, very interesting read. We recommend that you go check that out, and you can find that at Computer America or, of course, NBC News. They have it there as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about. All right, how about this one? Apparently, it's just a bad day for companies just coming clean with a lot of dirt. Former Mozilla executive saying that Google has sabotaged Facebook for years. Well, I'm sorry. Google has sabotaged Firefox for years. There we go. Not Facebook, Firefox. Former and current Mozilla engineers are reaching their boiling points. If you don't know Mozilla, they've actually been on the show a number of times. They're definitely a great company where they truly have an idea in their mind to develop a cutting edge browser with a different design philosophy than Google. There's no doubt about it. The two are definitely at heads, but they have the same common goal, and one can definitely interfere with the other. So let's see how this happens. This is by ZDNet, and a former high-ranking Mozilla executive has accused Google of intentionally and systematically sabotaging Firefox over the past decade in order to boost Chrome's adoption, which I will say to a certain extent is true. Although, personally, I remember the exact instance that I stopped using Mozilla Firefox, and Firefox had a privacy bug that was very well publicized a couple of years ago. I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago. And at that moment, Firefox did not have an answer to it. Like, it was a huge privacy vulnerability, and they didn't patch it for like 2 weeks because it was so glaring. Unfortunately, I don't remember the exact cause of it, but it was big. Anyways, I recall that was the first time that I decided to take a look at Chrome, and I just never went back. Chrome never really gave me a reason to go back. What I'm saying is, that's all it really takes for someone to jump browsers is one obstacle, one hiccup, one incident, and suddenly you are using a completely different browser, and you are very likely, unless the other browser messes up, you're very likely to never go back. Now, of course, the article says that he is not the first Firefox team member to come forward and make such accusations in the past 8 months. However, his allegations span far beyond the current events and accuse Google of carrying out coordinated plans that involved introducing small bugs on its sites that could only manifest for Firefox users. And when you think about Google sites, Google had a lot of them. Of course, the now defunct Google Plus, Google itself, YouTube. There's if you're talking about traffic, if you introduce just a few bugs, you catch a lot, or at least you inconvenience a lot of people. But the question is this true? Here we go. Now, and a lot of these are of course, quotes here. Actually, almost this entire thing are quotes. So, quote, "When I started at Mozilla in 2007, there was no Google Chrome, and most people we spoke with inside Google were Firefox fans. When Chrome launched, things got complicated, but not in the way you might expect. They had a competing product now, but they didn't cut ties, break our search deal, nothing like that. In fact, the story we kept hearing was, we're on the same side, we want the same things. There you go. Saying, quote, I think our friends inside Google genuinely believe that at the individual level, their engineers cared about most of the same things we did. Their product and design folks made many decisions very similarly, and we learned from watching each other. But Google as a whole is very different than individual Googlers. That would be the direction that the company decides to go in, or the executive, versus the people who actually make it happen. Now, Google Chrome ads started appearing next to Firefox search terms. Gmail and Google Docs started to experience selective performance issues and bugs on Firefox. Demo sites would falsely block Firefox as incompatible. All of this stuff you're allowed to do. You're allowed to do to compete, of course. But we were still a search partner. So we'd say, hey, what gives? And every time they'd say, oops, that was accidental, we'll fix it in the next push in 2 weeks. Over and over, oops, another accident, we'll fix it soon, we want the same things, we're on the same team. There are dozens of oopsies, hundreds, maybe. Like I said, it doesn't take much. If you are a constant user of, let's say, Google Docs, and Firefox keeps breaking on you, that might be the one thing to push you over to another search browser. It doesn't take much. So, yeah, I can completely believe that. This is just one accusation, though, to be very, very clear. The article goes on a bit more, saying that it's not the first accusation, saying that this is not the first Firefox team member to come forward to make such accusations. In July 2018, Mozilla program manager Chris Peterson accused Google of intentionally slowing down YouTube performance on Firefox. He revealed that both Firefox and Edge were superior when loading YouTube content when compared to Chrome. And in order to counteract this performance issue, Google switched to using a JavaScript library for YouTube that they knew wasn't supported by Firefox. So at this point, it's very hard not to believe or take Nightingale's comments seriously. Slowly but surely, Google is becoming the new Microsoft, and Chrome is slowly turning into the new Internet Explorer, an opinion that more and more users are starting to share. And that, of course, are the words of the author. I will say, this is very similar to net neutrality. I know, everyone's favorite words. Net neutrality that we were talking about a while ago, where think of it kind of like paid fast lanes, or just the idea that maybe it wasn't so much that Chrome was, or I should say Google, was gimping Firefox as much as it was Google had every incentive to maximize performance of Chrome over Firefox or Safari or any other browser. So maybe the fact that they have so many services that millions and hundreds of millions of people use every day, the fact that they were allowed behind the scenes to make sure that they run optimally only on their platform, and they did not give the proper tools and heads up to the competitors to let them work out the performance issues themselves. Maybe that's another way that they were able to do this. Again, part of this are rumors. Part of this is one side of the story versus another side. Google will probably never come to the table and say, we didn't do that, this is what happened. No, this is going to be ex-Mozilla executives speaking out against Google. But, I wouldn't put it past Google. Google can be very cutthroat. So there you go. There's that story. Now, time for, let's see, how much more time do we have? I think we have time for just about one or two more articles. Check this out. Something a little bit more lighthearted. PlayStation 5. You heard that right. PlayStation 5 has finally been announced. Kind of. Sony finally confirms that the PS5 is coming. It's backwards compatible and more. saying that the PlayStation 5 isn't coming out until 2019 and it will be compatible with 8K resolutions and ray tracing tech. This is cool stuff. This is the kind of stuff we want to hear. So seemingly out of nowhere, Sony has dumped an info drop of news about its next generation plans, which, as everyone knows, are unofficially known as the PlayStation 5. Everyone would just assume it's because there's a PlayStation 4, 3, 2, 1, PlayStation 5. They say in an exclusive interview between Wired and Mark Cerny, the lead architect of the company's new console. This is the first time that Sony has publicly spoken about its successor to the PS4, which, according to Cerny, won't be out in 2019. So this year, no PS5. That's the first takeaway. Now, obviously, they said that there's a lot to dig through in the tech-heavy article, but the authors over at GamesRadar, there we go, they've mined it for a few important details. First of all, the PlayStation 5 will be backwards compatible with the PlayStation 4 games, and it will have a disk drive. It's been in development for over 4 years. A number of studios have already been working on next-gen games, and it'll boast ray tracing technology with an expanded partnership with AMD, whose first-class chip software is at the center of PS5's internal architecture. So a couple things there. Ray tracing, that's something that we have discussed with Derek Shani, who, by the way, coming on the show tomorrow. That is the ability to have dynamic lighting in video games in real-time ray tracing. That means that every part of your video game will look like a cutscene cinematic to some extent. Obviously, it's not going to be as fluid or as high fidelity as a completely pre-rendered kind of deal, but it's going to be a vast improvement. So this is going to be something to really pay attention to. And the second thing, of course, is that AMD continues to be the chip in charge for the PlayStation 5. Now, one of the big new things that Cerny seems keen to show off in the next-gen console is that it is included, its included solid-state drive, which will dramatically improve loading and rendering times for big-budget games. To prove the difference, Cerny played Spider-Man PS4 running on a developer kit of the PS5, and the open-world loading time dropped from its usual 15-second to less than a single second. Anyone out there who'd like to try this for themselves, if you have a traditional hard drive, an HDD, go out, get yourself a solid state drive or an SSD and compare the two. Load up a game on both hard drives and boot them, separately or at the same time, or just transfer everything over to the SSD. You will see a significant performance boost. That's been known for years, and I'm actually quite surprised that the PlayStation 4 and probably the Xbox One don't have a solid-state drive. That will be a huge performance boost. Moreover, the PS5 will support 8K resolution. You heard that right. Forget 4K. We're up to 8K now. Will support 8K resolution and be compatible with PlayStation VR kits, including both present and future variants of the product. The hardware will also include 3D audio, though it's unclear how exactly that works or sounds in practice. Saying, quote, as a gamer, it's been a little bit of a frustration that audio did not change too much between PlayStation 3 and 4. With the next console, the dream is to show how dramatically different the audio experience can be when we apply significant amounts of hardware horsepower to it. So that's good. Cerny also hinted that the upcoming PlayStation 4 games like Death Stranding will be multi-platform titles, releasing first on the PS4 and then the PS5 respectively. There's no word yet on when or where Sony will reveal more about the new piece of hardware. And of course, everyone assumes E3 2019, but this article suggests that the Tech Titan is finally kicking off promotion for its next console. Wasn't expecting that. Obviously, To make the biggest splash, everyone waits until E3 when all the press is just looking for something to talk about. But to do this out of nowhere, I don't think it's going to get as much attention as it would, but it's getting a lot of attention. So there you go. All right. How about we have time, really not even for another story. So one other story that, okay, this will be quick. This is from the Apple newsroom, apple.com/newsroom. If you have been paying attention to the show, we've mentioned quite often the continued rivalry between Qualcomm and Apple. Each one of them gets themselves like a multi-billion-dollar settlement with the other one, saying that, or order saying that, hey, you infringe on our copyright, hey, you infringe on our patent, Qualcomm stole, Apple did not license, or Qualcomm did not license, back and forth for a couple of years. And we've seen swings from, multi-billions of dollars that would really hurt, and if not bring down either one of these companies. Oh, hey, music is really loud. Turn that down just a little bit. So anyways, yeah, they said that it would be very, very harmful, and this coming to us directly from Apple, Qualcomm and Apple agreed to drop all litigation. Very surprising. Didn't see that coming, because each one stood to gain a lot of money from the other. But I guess, hey, years and years in the court system have led to nothing, and they both agreed to drop the lawsuits. So everyone, until next time, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. Huge shout out to FamClub. Thank you for coming on the show. Glad that we were able to get you on. And until next time, everyone, join us tomorrow as we have the one, the only, Mr. Darius Darabshani. He is, of course, our graphics expert. We'll be looking forward to talking with him. And yeah, everyone, catch you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.